What if Hashirama kept all the tailed beasts? Part 2. After the ceremony to initiate the new Jinchuriki, the entire village was on high alert. This was for two reasons. One, if the other villages found out that this day was the day the new Jinchuriki were being made, an assault on the village was quite possible, as the leaf would be significantly weaker than before. Although they were still powerful, they had no Jinchurikis that were trained to act as a deterrent for other villagers. And two, ninjas, including the Hokage, had to make sure that none of the new vessels would spiral out of control. They had to keep them calm, especially due to what happens next. The funerals for all the past Jinchuriki took place the day after, and just for context in the leaf, the graveyard looks a little different. The clans are still in their own sections, like they are usually, but there is a section of the cemetery that is devoted to the Jinchuriki, with each plot of land being dedicated to the different generations. Each of the headstones had the names of the ninja and a picture of the beast as the headstone. As the Jinchurikis were being buried, everyone remained silent, as they were all taught that ninja must not show emotion. The only person who was audibly fighting back tears was Kushina. Her friends had died, but she lived, so she was experiencing a form of survivor's guilt. But the ninja who were around her, including Kakashi and Jiraiya, tried to console her, telling her that no one in the village holds any disdain for her surviving. In fact, the village actually felt a little sorry for her, because, like I said in the last part, she has essentially a death sentence hanging over her head. This does calm her down a bit, but she is horrified at the thought of Naruto constantly worrying that whenever he comes home, he may come home to find his mother dead with no prior warning. After everyone has said their goodbyes to their friends and family, everyone goes home except the new Jinchuriki, who stayed behind for a couple hours, making a promise to their predecessors that they will take care of the village as they once did. Once they are done with their goodbyes, they head home to spend some time with their families before the next day, when they will be called by the Hokage to start their training. When Naruto gets home, he walks into Kushina, who had red, puffy eyes, showing that she had not long finished crying. Naruto runs over and hugs her tighter than he ever has before, telling his mother that everything will be okay. We all have a limited time on this planet. It's what we do with that time that matters. Kushina would be stunned at the wisdom that just came out of her son's mouth, but he does spend a lot of time with Jiraiya and Itachi, so it's not too far out of the realm of possibility that they have massively influenced his mind and thought process. They spend the rest of the night talking and laughing, keeping each other's spirits up for what was to come. Kushina also gives Naruto a few tips on how to stay calm and how to deal with Kurama when he gets angry, which is quite often. So I think Kushina would have a few things, found out a few things, including his name, considering she has been with him a lot longer. And I think Kurama would even be scared of Kushina getting angry. Before the night is over, Jiraiya comes into the home wanting to show Naruto something. He pulls out a scroll, and it was the key that Minato created for Kushina if the seal ever became unstable. Jiraiya explains to Naruto that he needs to have this, especially being so young. If no one is around to fix the seal or strengthen it, he needs to learn how to do it himself. And with what's going to happen in the next few years, he may need to learn how to loosen the seal. Naruto thanks Jiraiya for everything, thinking that this will be the last time he will ever teach him anything. but Jiraiya laughs, telling Naruto that I wouldn't bet on it, before telling Naruto to get some sleep and leaving. The next day, Naruto meets up with Sasuke, who was sparring with Itachi like usual, and Itachi was teaching Sasuke to keep calm, no matter what happens. This spar was actually more intense than Naruto had seen for a while, as Itachi was teaching self-control, not trying to make him stronger. I should make it clear now that Itachi only just developed his MS, as it comes from the loss of someone close to you, as well as Sasuke awakening his One Tomoe Sharingan, which they were both using their respective eyes in this fight. Itachi using MS and Sasuke using One Tomoe. Itachi, after seeing Naruto and realising the time it was, stopped the match, and Sasuke bowed, thanking his brother for the advice before hugging him goodbye. Itachi then walks over to Naruto, telling him to keep an eye on Sasuke. He knows his brother, and he knows that he takes things like this to heart, and the loss of their mother will weigh on him for a very long time. Naruto reassures him that Sasuke is his best friend and he will always be there for him, which made Itachi smile, and he hugged Naruto, as he does see him as another little brother. Sasuke and Naruto make their way to the Hokage's office and see the rest of the Jinchuriki are already there, all with solemn faces, especially when they see Naruto. Like I said in the last part, none of them harbour any kind of resentment but pity for his situation, knowing that he will be permanently on edge thinking about his mother. The Hokage comes into the room and thanks everyone for being here on time, and tells them that their lives have been forever changed, and that the usual ranking of Genin, Chunin and Jonin no longer matter to them. Before anyone asks what he means, he explains that they have their own ranking system, Jinchuriki and Perfect Jinchuriki, which is what they will be striving for. They will be learning how to control their newfound powers and the beast within. Kurama actually takes offence to this, being called a beast, because he doesn't like it, and insinuating that they're going to try to tame him. He gets offended, and Naruto gets a headache from him roaring, but he doesn't say anything, not wanting to alert anyone. Hiruzen tells them that they will be training together and they will go on assignments together. The teams that will go out will be 2 Jinchuriki and a Jonin leader. Ino asks how the teams are decided, to which Hiruzen tells them that the teams are designated by the strength of the beast. For this, I'm going to not assume, but I'm going to say that the number of tails indicates strength, even though in canon the 8 tails said to Kurama that it isn't the case, even though Kurama is the strongest, and then maybe the 8 tails afterwards. So it would imply it, but it's not outright said. But for this series, it's what I'm going with. So the weakest will be with the strongest, and it goes from there. The teams are Sasuke and Naruto, so the 2 tails and the 9 tails. Choji and Shikamaru, the 3 tails and the 8 tails. Hinata and Shino, 4 tails and the 7 tails. Of course, Shino was getting the 7 tails. And Kiba and Ino, the 5 tails and the 6 tails. After Hiruzen names the teams, 4 of the strongest Jonin in the village walk in through the door, the team captains. Kakashi, Guy, Asuma and Yamato. You can think about whatever you want for the teams that they were heading, like Kakashi was on Team 7, blah blah blah. And if they end up making an appearance in this series, being a prominent part, then I will make something up saying that another ninja took over or whatever. So, Hiruzen introduces them and tells them who will be leading who. Kakashi will lead Team 1, Asuma will lead Team 2, Guy will lead Team 3, and Yamato will lead Team 4. But for now, you will all be training together. You will all learn to fight alongside each other, learning each other's strengths and weaknesses to know how to cover one another's shortcomings. For the next few months, the Chinchuriki spend majority of the time fighting in different groups against one another, taught different jitsu and better, more intense chakra control, as the individual seals will be interfering with their ability to mold chakra. The training is largely conducted by the captains, but occasionally people like Jiraiya and Hiruzen come in to teach them, which makes the training a lot harder, but a lot more rewarding. After these few months, the Jinchuriki have become, I'd say, mid to high tuning level, all showing immense growth and power as, well, in the actual show you do see them become very strong quite quickly. And they are training with Kage level and Asani, so. They have all grown very close to one another, and some of them have even gained very slight control over their tail beast chakra. Not able to gain the chakra cloak, but just enough to give them a small power boost. Naruto knows his chakra nature of wind, and has also learned that he is quite proficient with water release. Not as good as wind style, but it's still very strong. Surprisingly, the strongest ninja amongst them at the moment is Shino, who, because of his natural affinity with bugs and other insects, has somewhat grown close to the Seven Tails and can use quite a bit of his power. Sasuke's fire style is a lot stronger than this point in canon, with some of his fire jutsu even having a somewhat blue tint of the two tails. And Hinata has become stronger with her Chai Jitsu, being able to use 64 palms, but only once, as she becomes tired after the spinning, which is still miles better than she was in canon. Everyone else had just become stronger with no actual new jitsu or anything like that. And with that explaining, because technically this is part 1, part 2, I guess. Like, technically this one and part 1 would have gone together if I wanted it to be like a 30-40 minute video. But with that, I'm going to leave it here, as it's already longer than some of my other videos anyway. And if you got to this part of the video, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and hit that ding or top if you really want. And I'll see you all later. Bye.